Welcome back to Ozotplay's second podcast. Today we will discuss Tour de France mountain stages because there are only 6 stages this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I guess it's normal, but it's more. I would say this year is like not the biggest amount of mountain stages, maybe, but they're like all very hard with very hard mountain top finishes as well. I think like are all of them top finishes. I think they are, or maybe like 5 out of 6. So yeah, there's a lot of very hard finishing climbs in this race. Which means there's probably going to be a lot of stages with GCX, or there's going to be GCX on all of these stages because they're just so hard at the end of the climb. You basically can't avoid it. I mean, to be fair, Pogačar and Jonas are pretty aggressive races anyway, so we should assume that. Um, yeah, I mean, the first mountain stage is quite late into the race, I would say, compared to usual, because there's like for 10 days it's hilly stages all over the place. I think they have like 5, 6 hilly stages. I would say a few sprints in there, a time trial. Yeah. How much do you expect Pogacar to be up already before the first mountains? I
I
think
would
you can
say
expect a
one
good
minute.
minute. I think you can expect a good minute plus on Vingegaard and maybe 30, 40, 30, 40 seconds on Remco, who will probably crawl back some time on the TT, but not get as many bonus seconds as Pogacar,
Oh yeah,
obviously.
there's a 33-kilometer time trial on stage 5, so
Yeah,
actually it might be closer than we thought, but
I
Pogacar
think I
should
think it will
take.
be. I think Pogacar would still be out of Remco just because of all the bonus seconds. There's so many hill stages. You might get some gaps on Remco as well. Who, he's not always positioned as well. He's not as fast as Pogacar on the true punches. So yeah. And I think the time trial will also help Pogacar at least compared to Vingegaard in his
Yes,
gap there.
because I
So
think
yeah,
in Curtin Dauphiné where Pogacar lost in a time trial, that was just one single bad day, which he showed in the mountains later.
yeah, and also climbing TTs are always weird. They're always weird. They're less predictable than a flat one like this. I think Pogacar just has too much power to lose time to Vingegaard or that kind of TT and in top shape. So yeah, I expect a good minute, over a minute on Vingegaard, maybe 30 seconds in that range on Remco for Pogacar before we even hit the mountains.
Yes,
That's
okay,
already going to
we'll
be a big
start
gap.
with the first mountain stage, which is stage 12. We'll finish up the legendary Hautacam, where Jonas and Wout van Aert dropped in 2022 Pogačar. So at least they both have experience on this climb in Tour de France.
Yeah, it's not in terms of the ascents, it's not as hard as back then. They had, of course, the Obisque and the other climb, which I forgot the name of, Spandels. So two very hard climbs. This is where time we have a lot of rolling terrain, 120 kilometers before this first climb. Then we have the Sulur, a little bit of an apple on board there, and then the Hautacam. Not the hardest stage. I think this is just made for Pogacar. Honestly, we know, of course, he can dominate on the hardest stages as well, but I just don't see how he's beatable on a stage like this with medium difficulty throughout the day probably than a 37 minute climb, 8% gradual. That's like the dream for Pogacar just stage in my mind.
Yes, it's true because Hautacam isn't that steep and also they are going very fast on climbs. Like, what is their average speed? 25 kilometers per hour on this climb, maybe. So yeah, it will be quite
Yeah, and that
fast.
also helps Pogacar in a way because of his acceleration. Because Jonas, when he attacks, I don't think he ever like gets a gap unless Pogacar is completely like cooked, like on Isola, of course. Isola, I'm saying on what was the climb, Granon, or like
Called the
Loze.
Loze.
Yeah, Winger never gets a like initial gap on Pogacar, so Pogacar can stay in the draft and kind of conserve there. Well, when Pogacar attacks, we saw last year on the Plada Day, he's just gone, and Vingegaard has to ride by himself. Doesn't have the draft advantage, so I think that helps Pogacar on such a high speed climb. It will be an advantage here because Hautacam these days is a high speed climb. I would say for these guys.
Yes, they'll probably also break the Bjorn Rees record from 1996 tour. It's very, very likely at this point.
Yeah, I mean we don't know if they'll push the same watts per kilogram, which is also possible these days, but of course with lighter bikes. I think we calculated back in 2022 actually what a modern rider with average draft would need to break this record, and I think it was like 6.7 watts per kilogram for 36 minutes or 35 minutes, whatever it was. Um, and I think that's just pretty much a given at this point. So yeah, this should be, in all likelihood, the first legendary climbing record that will fall in this race, and there will be a lot of them because we have quite an array of legendary climbs in this race actually
Yes,
that have been ridden before.
and I think even Joao Almeida might break the Beyond Reese record because in Tour de Suisse on the trend line I see that his performance was good enough to break also the Hautacam record with enough drafting.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like,
At least Remco also might do it.
Santi Buitrago might break the record. Like after what we saw in Plateau de Bale last year, uh, how fast they can all go. Um, I won't be surprised. Though this record is a bit faster than the Bale record for sure.
Okay, let's continue with the stage 13, which will be the only mountain time trial up Peyragudes. I cannot pronounce the name, but yeah, it will be a 8 kilometer, 7.6% climb, with the first 3 kilometers being, let's say, false, flat, hilly.
Yeah, I think that is the same route of this climb that they rode as well in 2022 with Brent McNulty and then Pogačar winning the sprint up the very steep finish. They have this finish again this time, of course, in an ITT. I think this is the same side of the climb there too. Uh, but yeah, it's not the hardest climb. Pretty much, it's like 7.5% for the most part, and just like it's ridiculously steep last 200 meters, which kind of amps up the average grade to like nearly 8% in total. But yeah, 20 minutes. I think 20 minutes should be around the target for this climb. A bit of false flat before. Honestly, I think this is the stage where Vingegaard has the best chance of beating Pogačar.
True. Also, they might use the time trial bike before the climb.
Ooh,
It's really tricky.
ooh,
Yes, I know it's really
it's
tricky.
how long is it? 3.5.
Yeah, let's say 3.5 kilometers you can use a time trial bike,
Ooh,
which still is a lot.
ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I probably, yes, if I would be a rider, I wouldn't use a time trial bike, especially if I'm Remco, because I'm aero on a road bike
Yeah,
already.
Remco definitely not, but I think, but no, I don't think they'll use a time
Maybe it's
trial bike.
Giulio Ciccone, Guillaume Martin will do it.
I think they'll use like a climbing bike with the extensions.
Oh yeah, also that's chance
I think that's the call of
similar
this
to Lance
GP.
Armstrong times when they also did it.
Yeah. Because it's 3.5 kilometers. There's not a long. You might like break even if you use the time trial bike, but then there's more risk of a bad bike swap and you lose more time there. I think the call will be no bike with extensions for this one. And as I said, I think Vingegaard has a decent shot at beating Pogačar here. Maybe like the best shot he has in the tour. Um, because I do really think he's a very good like fresh time trial rider in terms of the watts. So yeah, I could see him beating Pogačar here maybe, but yeah, not very likely. But I could see it maybe here.
Uh, they all already start at almost 1,000 meters above sea level, so we won't see the best fresh sea level watts. But it will be something crazy still.
Yeah, the watts will definitely be big, although I don't think, I've said this before, I don't think the difference between TT watts and climbing watts or like road stage watts are that big anymore. I think the difference was much larger in the previous era, like Sky era type stuff. They could actually push very, very big watts in the time trials, but not in the road stages. I think the fatigue resistance has just gone up that we'll of course see very big watts, but not as stratospherically clear of the road stage what's there we'll see. That's my assumption. Of course, you don't know. There's also, as we said, a few kilometers before the climb that always kind of lowers the watts you see on a climbing ITT by quite a lot. Usually, from experience, that's what I've seen. So yeah, um, it will be
Okay,
interesting to see. I'm also very unsure what to expect from Remco in this kind of stage. I honestly don't know. He could completely fall apart or he could ace it. I actually don't know what to expect from him on a climbing TT.
I also thought about that because he will definitely save maybe 10 seconds on the flat because he's so aero, but also the climb is 7.6%. So I
I think
mean,
the climb itself suits him. I just haven't seen him really in this like climbing ITT environment. I don't even know how to explain it. Just somehow in my mind I have a bad feeling for this ITT about Remco, and I can't really explain.
yes, it's true because he's inconsistent, and also before the Tour de France, he said he's 1 kilogram lighter than last year, so he's even lighter this year. So we don't know how much muscle weight he lost or what he lost to become even lighter.
Yeah, I mean I guess we'll know it before this stage already, but yeah,
On Hautacam, yeah, we will see what he will do on Hautacam.
yeah. But as I said, I just have a bad feeling about this stage in particular for him. But yeah,
Okay,
we'll see
let's
that then.
guess how many watts they will push. Okay, how many guys will push 7 watts per kilo or more?
Seven is not that much, is it?
Yeah, like six
But
guys.
it's the altitude isn't that low.
It should be
Ooh.
Remco, Jonas, Pogačar, Almeida, maybe Felix Gall.
Yeah, Gal is a good shot.
Who else might do it? Let's check who is racing here. Lipowitz, Roglic. Yeah, they also racing. So.
If Roger is still in the race, but then it's kind of like
Yes, it's
25%
unlikely.
chance. I'm not
Very
betting on that.
unlikely.
Yeah, I think we'll see. Like I haven't converted, but I think like 700 ASLP for the for Jonas or Pogačar is like the call I would make. I haven't converted to watts per kilogram.
Yeah. If I have to guess, one of the guys will have a big advantage on this day, like 30 seconds or
Yeah, I
one
can
minute.
see it.
Because
I
on
can see it
mountain
as
time
well.
trials, always some weird shit happens. I don't know
Yeah, I
why.
agree. I agree. I think I agree with that. So yeah, I think this will be a very very decisive day to see something. If Jonas doesn't gain here, then I think it's
Yes, it's
gone.
done.
The, it's done. Yeah.
Okay, the next stage is also for the third day in a row. It's a climbing
Yeah,
stage,
that's
stage
three
14.
hard ass days in a row.
Yeah,
And usually, like I think after a time trial like that, you're gonna see big gaps on the next day.
because it's also a 5,000 vertical meter gain and four climbs. Called the
Yeah,
Tourmalet,
that's a classic stage.
called the
Four
Spin,
classic climbs.
called the Peyragudes, and the final climb is Luchon Superbagnères. So yeah, a
Yeah,
historical
also
climb, I
classic
think.
climb. They haven't rode it in a while. I think
Since
last
Le
time in
Mans,
19. Yeah, it was Le Mans era. I think 1989, maybe 1990. Definitely around that time they last rode it. But yeah, legendary climb in the history of the tour. Not the hardest. I mean, just a classic Alps climb. Pretty gradual, 7.5%. This is just Pogačar territory again, isn't it?
yeah, probably because it's not steep. It's 7%, 7.5%. So it's really Pogacar's territory. It's really funny to
Yeah, it's
see.
all the previous climbs are all like 7-8%. It's just 7-8%. I mean, Tourmalet is long effort, but then like 15 minutes, 20 minutes for the Tourmalet Perseur Espin, and then like 35-minute final climb. I think it's just a bit more amped up version of the Hautacam stage, but yeah, I think these are just really really good for Pogačar. Did I say? By the way, did I say Alps? This is of course the Pyrenees stage.
I'm looking at the UAE start list, and the Nils Polit Team Valens will do an insane pace on Tourmalet again, like last year. Then they have Narvaez, Sivakov, Soler, Adam Yates, and Almeida. Like, holy shit, they can absolutely crash this stage.
Yeah, I mean, UAE are made. I think the UAE team, this is like the perfect stage for them. Like Pollard, Pollard's in the team, right?
Yes, Polit is here.
pull it for the Tourmalet at the start, bang. Then like Valence for the Aspin, like you can't get a perfect map, get a better match for that. And of course they have the climbers for the final two climbs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really can really light this up. Of course, you Visma as well. That team is insane as well. But yeah, I'm not sure if Visma will ride as aggressively for the GC this year. I mean, maybe they will, but will they, like will they just ride an all-out TT stage like the Plateau de Bale again? I'm not
I
sure.
think yes, but that will be later when Jonas will have lost time because they have no chances. They need to crack Pogačar at one point, and there will
But at
be
this
big
point, he's
climbs.
probably already lost a bit. At this point, he's like probably already like over 2 minutes down.
Yes, but again, Pogačar had a bad day last year when Jonas came back and beat him in a sprint at least. Also in Dauphiné there was a one bad day, so you never know. Yes, it might seem very stupid. Twitter will also say, "What the fuck is Patrick Bro doing? Why the fuck he is pacing
I
for
think I think
Pogačar?"
it's the right
Yeah.
it's definitely the right call to go all out in these kind of stages. You just have to try it. You have to increase the variance. If Pogacar has a bad day, you have to make it really hard. You don't know if you will at all, when you will have a bad day. But you have to go all out on every day. But I just don't know if they'll be as convinced to put 8 guys in the train on every day like they did last
Yeah,
year.
maybe they will save Matteo Jorgenson and will use more Sepp Kuss and Simon Yates, and Jorgenson will
Yeah,
ride for top 5 in GC maybe as an
yeah, it's a
American rider.
possibility. It's a possibility.
Because they also have a new sponsor, Nike, so I think Nike also is very interested to see how Jorgensen will do.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense.
Okay, but let's move on to the next mountain stage, which will be on the not the following day, but on the following day, which will be Mont Ventoux, completely flat stage, 171 kilometers, and yeah, Mont Ventoux will, I think, Mont Ventoux record will be destroyed. On the road stage, it was owned by Marco Patani. In a mountain time trial, it was set by Iban Bayo. Yeah, so it will be absolutely destroyed, I think.
Yeah, that guy is gone. That record is gone. Mayo Watts are pretty good actually, but of course he did it in a TT with no drafting. That doesn't help him either. And I mean, compared to these days, Watts is still not that level. And he got a easy stage before. I don't know if it's. I'll check if it's particularly long.
171
Not
kilometers.
not even that long. Not even that long. I mean, I remember the Froome one in like 2013 was like way over 200 kilometers back then.
For
She had
them,
some
it will be
fatigue.
maybe 3 hours if the breakaway is aggressive. Yeah, 3 hours, 10
Yeah,
minutes.
and surely, like this is the type of climb where Pogačar like likes to make a big statement on such a famous climb. I think
Yeah,
that he will really light it up on this one, and that's why the record is definitely gone. And I think if I would have to predict, I would say that this might be the biggest ASLP in the whole race.
yes, it seems perfect. It's also after a
Yeah,
easy day. Yeah.
yeah, I think this is the one.
Okay.
Isn't it after a rest day as well? Yeah, it's after a rest day, bro. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be the one. It's after a rest day.
Yeah, previous day
Uh,
is also in Carcassonne. Yeah, previous stage. So
yeah,
man, they will have so fresh legs. Holy
yeah.
shit.
You know it also from the Giro from memory. Like the Giro stages after rest day, even hardest was always crazy watts for the riders. So I think this is the one definitely where you see the big one, the big explosion.
It's like Jebel Hafid for UE and Pogačar. Just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Okay, like who is pacing in what sequence? Polit, Wellens, Narvaez are probably the first three guys. Sivakov,
I think
Soler,
Pollard
then.
won't. I think Pollard won't pace on the climb.
Yeah.
I think Pollard, like that guy, is just there to keep it in check on a stage like that. And yeah, got.
Then after that,
I would say because the first part of the climb is like very shallow, like 3-4% for a few kilometers. I think that's like where Wellens. I think that would be Wellens territory, or maybe still Pollard. And you launch it into the shallow Renard, which is the steepest, hardest part of the climb with Narvaez, Sivakov, and Yates.
they
Fuck
also have
Mark Soler.
Soler. Yeah.
I don't think he's needed.
And then Almeida will finish it. Yeah, probably.
Because I think like Pogačar will probably take like 15 minutes into this climb.
Yeah,
Surely,
probably.
I think he'll like go early.
Similar to Narok Nitana 2020, yeah, Chalet Renard stage,
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah,
early.
yeah. So I don't know if they'll need all the guys for this train. Maybe just
Yes,
do very short pulls.
I think they
And at
will.
that point, never know. Like two guys might have left the race or aren't feeling well. So that's always what you have to consider as well.
Yeah, like holy shit, I cannot wait for this day because the speed will be insane up this climb. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. The next mountain stage is also the last, I think. They go. Oh no, there are two more stages. Okay, the next one is stage 18, which will
Yeah, the two
finish up
upstages.
Col de la Loze from Portugal side. They will also do before the Col du Glandon and Col de la Madeleine, so it will be a finally hard stage with hard mountains, but the final climb is still relatively easy, shallow.
Yeah, but it's a low. It's called a lows. Like the final part of the climbs really has some nasty ramps. Uh, I would assume. I think like it. I would assume they ride the same final part of the climb as usual. I haven't even checked. I just assumed it
Yeah, because
because
I
I
see
think you
the
can.
average gradient is 6.4%. Okay, it's not regular, but
y-
it's still weird.
Yeah, I
6.4%.
think it's mostly like the middle part, but like the Cola Loz was never like that steep of a climb. Even when they rode like the full hardest part, I think the 2020 was also only like 7.5% when they rode like the hardest side of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's see what the Visma will be doing because I assume this will be the stage where they will pace full hard on the previous climbs and hope the
yeah,
Pogačar will
it's
crack.
probably it's probably the hardest stage of the climb of the stage of the race, right?
Yes, because also
Three
Col
like
du
very
Glandon is
long
very
climbs.
nasty. It's like three
Yeah,
climbs with 8% sections, and Col de Madeleine is 19 kilometers, 8%, also nasty. And Loze is at least at a higher altitude, yeah, finishes up
yeah, and
2,300 meters.
they're all at 2,000 meters. They're all long as fuck. These free climbs, like they're all 60-minute time climbs, just continuously having to push the squats. There's not much time in valleys to recover. Of course, it's not the longest stage, 170 kilometers. Um, but it's a very hard day, and yeah, as I mentioned before, the Lowe's has some very steep sections at the end. Um, and I think you have to wait for that for like those final 5-7 kilometers to attack because it's just not hard enough before that. So you'll probably need a strong train to keep up the pace on that
Yeah.
climb.
Hopefully, this will be
But
the day when Sepkus returns after La Vuelta win.
eh, we got Simon Yates now.
Oh fuck yes, I mean it's too.
But yeah, this is the stage where Visma's domestiques will have to prove it in theory, assuming that of course we have the scenario of Vingegaard behind Pogačar at this point of the race, and those in 1 and 2. But yeah, there's some very nasty bits in the final few kilometers. There's gonna be the time when you have to launch it, and I mean, if somebody has a weakness on that climb, you can lose a lot of time really quickly. So yeah, it's definitely the day to watch out for.
Probably Felix Gall might win it from breakaway or at least from peloton. It
Yeah,
will be very
he'll
good.
do well here for sure. This is a perfect stage for him in theory. Who is some artists in this race that could like that you imagine doing well on this kind of stage?
Uh, Carlos
Uh,
Rodriguez or not? Florian
I'm kind of split on
Lipowitz.
him for this. Leibowitz, I don't think so. To be honest, I don't like it for
Okay,
him.
it's in France, so Henrik Mas won't perform probably.
Yeah, in theory it would suit him, but I don't trust him either.
Yeah, like
I don't know. I don't really see the kind of
Buitrago.
specialist.
I think he performed on these stages in Giro. Okay, it's Giro, fucking yeah, breakaway stage, but
Yeah,
still.
Girondi's a puncher, kinda.
Roglic will crash out earlier.
I don't see. I think Gala is the only specialist for this kind of stage here.
Yes. Like Oscar only.
Come on, man. Tour de France.
Yeah.
This ain't Zulia.
Yeah, and this ain't Tour of Wales of juniors. Yeah. But okay, the last mountain stage will be on stage 19, I think. Then day after, called the Loze stage. It will be quite a short stage, 130 kilometers, and we'll finish up the legendary La Plagne, where Miguel Indurain in 1995 or 4 set an insane record, and Marc Bodun in 2021, Christian Dauphiné, dropped off his wheel Sepkus and destroyed the peak okay, it wasn't peak Richie Port, but still Port was pretty strong, and also Miguel Angel Lopez, so we will see what the guys will do on this stage on La Plagne.
Yeah, I think this record is probably actually the most likelihood of surviving because it's a final stage. GC's probably done at this point. Like remember Kuyoyi as well. Pogačar didn't go all out. We might see a similar scenario here, and the record is pretty fast. Still, I think Indurain definitely went like 650 ASLP pace on this. So yeah, if any record stays, I think it's this one.
Yeah, also, the previous climbs are kind of shallow, except Col du Pré, which is 7.6 kilometers, 9.2%.
Col du Pré is really nasty. I remember they rode in 2018 on the stage where Geraint Thomas took the yellow jersey. They rode on that stage as a penultimate climb as well, and I think the group got pretty small. Valverde attacked even, I think, on this climb. Yeah, it's very, very narrow roads, very steep. It's a nasty climb.
Yes, let's see where at this point is Remco, because yeah, he's inconsistent, but at least this year he didn't crash in Basque country, and his preparation was a little bit better despite a hard crash in January in a postman's officer's car door. Yeah, he at least won Belgian championships time trial, was second in Belgian championships, was fourth in Dauphiné, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, and this stage should suit him. That's true. The climb is Plagne like 50 minutes. Not that steep.
7.2% also.
Yeah, it should definitely be a one for him to look at. But of course, like the likelihood, in all likelihood, like the GC is just completely done by this one. We've had so many big mountain stages. There's probably like he's 7 minutes below second place and 10 minutes out of fourth or something. Like, I don't think, in all reality, I don't think this stage is gonna change anything in the GC.
Yes, because okay, there are 6 mountain stages, and how many of them will breakaway will win? 1 or 0, I think.
For the mountain stages.
Yes. How many breakaway
None.
will win? None. Okay.
None.
I think maybe one. Someone like Felix Gall might win it, but yeah, it will be very hard.
It's 6 mountain stages. One is the time trial. That can't already is out.
Also, Ventoux, they cannot win Ventoux.
Yeah, like if UAE care at all, they're definitely not. The break is definitely not.
Yeah, because I think in theory
I will also say Hautacam.
chase...
The break is definitely. I think the break is also definitely not winning Hautacam because it's the first mountain top finish.
Yeah, plus also Pogačar will be very, how to say, convinced that he can win every stage, and if they have spent so much money on domestics, like 2 million for Sivakov or other guys, then why not use them to get free Tour de France wins if that's so easy?
Exactly.
Okay, the next question is, how many stages of these will Pogačar win? So there are 6 mountain stages. How many he'll win?
5.
I also wanted to say 5. Okay, I will say 6. He'll win 6 mountain stages. For fuck's sake.
It's not unlikely. I just trust.
Okay, which stage he's the most likely to lose? The mountain time trial, probably. Yeah.
The time trial. Yeah, I was about to say the time trial.
Oh yeah, probably Jonas.
No drafting in the time trial. You might lose it.
It's so crazy that, oh my god, that one guy can win every stage, and also like 5 hilly stages maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is how many stages in total Pogačar will win? I say 8.
I was also gonna say 8, man.
Say something like 10 maybe or
I
9.
say 9. I say 9.
Oh my god. Yeah,
The mountains are too perfect for him, and there's too many in the first week. There's too many hill stages in the first week where other teams will control it, and it's definitely not gonna be a break win. Like stage 2 is never gonna be a break win because Alpecin will also want to win it, and other teams will try it. And stage 4 as well, stage 6, stage 7. Like there's so many hilly finishes.
Yes. Okay, the next question is how many minutes Jonas will lose to Pogačar in GC?
How many did he lose last year? 6.
Yes, something like, let's check it.
It was 6. It was 6.
Okay, 6.
I'll go 7.
Yeah.
I'll go 7 on Jonas and 10 on Remco.
Okay, same as last year, almost just a plus 1 minute to both of them. Okay, the next question is how many will minutes?
It was man. I said 6 and I said 7 and 10. Last year was 6 and 9.
Yeah.
That's lame. That's lame, man. I thought Remco was further down.
Okay.
I wanted to put Remco closer, but he lost so much. He was already that close to Jonas last year. I
Okay.
didn't.
The next question is who will finish in 10th position and how many minutes that rider will lose? Last year it was Santiago Buitrago. He lost 29 minutes.
Yeah. 10th is a tough call. I need to take a look at the actually who's
Yeah,
all the
I
guys
will
that.
name all the favorites: Pogačar, Jonas,
Yeah.
Remco, Almeida. That's 4. Roglic 5. Lipowitz 6. Jorgenson, Yates, Kilmose, Rodriguez, Gol, Ben O'Connor, Mas, Sepp Kuss, Geraint Thomas. Okay, he's not doing GC. Adam Yates, Buitrago, Vlaso, Lenny Martinez. He said he's not aiming for GC, but he might finish in top 10. Van Aertveld, Arensman only. Yeah, Dunbar. Like who the fuck might finish in 10th positions? Felix Gall maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say Felix
Oh my
Gallen,
god,
35 minutes.
I want to say 36 minutes. Why we are thinking so similar? I don't know why, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put a number on it,
Uh,
and I mean it's
okay, I
it's
will
a
say
number.
Matthias Kelmos 27 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I don't trust in Skelmose.
Yeah, true. Did he finish in Volta last year in a good place?
Fourth, no?
He
He was
was.
fourth, I think.
I remember he was very strong. He was 5th, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it was very good in last
he
week.
came back in last week, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he might finish in top 10 maybe, but yeah, it will be ridiculous. Like, okay, the
Yeah,
next.
I don't think the GC field is quite as deep as last year.
Okay, from the good
Um,
guys here aren't Carapaz because he's sick, then Jay Hindley, Juan Ayuso, who else? Derek G.
G
Yeah, so there aren't that.
and some bunch of you have like Almeida on UAE, then you have Yates on UAE. There's two GC guys could choose GC on Visma
Also, Simon
after
Yates,
Jonas.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
after a
yeah,
Giro.
yeah. I don't think Yates will be doing any GC at all.
Okay, the next question is how many stages will Ineos win?
0.
I also want to say 0.
This squad is not good. This squad is not good for stage hunting. I think from the guys they had available, I think the squad is pretty good in terms of what they picked. It's pretty decent, but like I don't see like an Aronsman, a Swift, Foss. Like I don't see how these kind of guys can win stages. I don't see it for Thomas either, especially with how little breakaway groups we'll see. I think in the mountains. Same goes for Aronsman. I think Watson might have the best shot from a breakaway. Carlos Rodriguez also not really a stage winner, especially not when all the mountain stages are finishing at the top of the climb. So yeah, I think for stages, I think they'll have an alright tour compared to expectation. I think Rodriguez top 5 is a reasonable target, but I think for stages, it will be very tough.
Yes, and probably also the top 3 of GC will be the same as the last year, I think, and also the order will be the same.
Yeah, I think Almeida might be a bit closer this year. I think he's looked pretty good. I don't really see him challenging Remco in if Remco is doing well, if he doesn't crash out. Roglic, of course, in theory, he could always be kind in the fight, but I've given up predicting him to finish this race.
Yeah, Lipowitz might be top 5.
Yeah, he could be top 5. Like Lipowitz, Kaz, these kind of guys, I can see it for top 5, but I really don't see it further than that. I think Almeida is definitely the only one where I see the upside of having any shot at beating Remco at the peak of
Yeah,
his abilities.
well, let's see how this tour will go, because I don't expect anything big, let's say big surprises. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw enough surprise at Gira. I think we won't see any more this year.
Yeah, like when was the last time when Pogačar lost GC? It is in Tour de France probably, yeah, I guess Jonas.
Yeah, Tour de France,
Two
the
times.
one, the two times in the Tour, and before that it was in Zulia,
Easily
2021.
against Jonas and Roglic. Like, holy shit, he
Yeah,
lose so rarely. And before that, it was in Dauphiné against Guillaume Martin and
yeah,
Pinot
Tadej
and
Martinez.
Martinez Felipe. Like, holy shit, he loses so few times. Okay, when will be the next time when he loses GC? Like, in how many years?
How am I supposed to predict that?
I don't know, man. Like 2, 3 years maybe. Like, how many races he can win in a row in GC?
The thing is, it's hard to predict like how many. Like he doesn't even do a lot of GC races
Yeah.
these days. He like does 1 weeks on the Tour pretty much.
Yeah, like this motherfucker is so strong. We were born in the, I don't know, in the best or worst era of cycling. Probably in worst, as I'm not Slovenian. But again, imagine if you're from Slovenia. Damn, it's such a good time. Yeah.
Is Jan Tratnik riding this race?
Probably he must be helping Roglic. We'll check. Jan Tratnik is not in Tour de France. He was doing Giro.
There was something. I think there was something I heard that like why he doesn't race, but I forgot it again.
Yeah. This guy.
And Mohoric also, I think we can forget him in
Yeah.
this day and age.
What the fuck? Bahrain sent Robert Stannard, like he's been absolutely shit. I like how
But for first week in theory, he should be all right. To be fair.
I mean, yeah, will be good after heat training. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Matthew
Kamil
Vanderpool.
Gradek is at the Tour. Holy shit.
Matthew Vanderpool will win no 0 stages again.
I don't think he's better than Lenny Martins for the first week Van der Poel.
Yeah. Okay, I think we discussed everything almost, yeah, because there are only 6 mountain stages, and we expect Pogačar to beat everyone like last year or even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a situation.